14.8. So our last set of lessons here will run us through the four orders of operations with our integers, our negative values here. Addition has 2 days to it. Today we're going to talk about adding with like signs. Again, if you look at some of these problems, 5 plus 2, 6 plus 4, that's first grade kindergarten level type problems here. So once again, there's probably something else I'm trying to get you to understand, and I'll talk about that. We're going to be focusing on adding things with like signs, either a positive plus a positive or a negative plus a negative. Today, adding with like signs isn't too difficult. Probably the hardest lesson, though, will be tomorrow's lesson, this one, adding with unlike signs where you have one positive and one negative number. That is a little challenging, and this is probably the hardest thing the bigger kids deal with, is adding with unlike signs. Then we'll shift over to subtraction. When we get here, the name of the game is we're going to rewrite everything as an addition problem. I'll show you how to do that, and then we're going to use the same concept covered in these two lessons to solve these problems. Then we shift gears, head over to multiply. The rules for multiplying and dividing with integers are different than adding and subtracting. It's almost universally agreed upon that multiplying and dividing with integers is easier than adding and subtracting with integers. And then our final lesson we'll do is dividing with integers, of course. And that's where we will end. And we will have a quiz on all these sections here, starting from 14.6 through 14.12. Okay, so name of the game today, adding with like signs. There are 2 rules of addition that exist out there that drive how we do our all adding work here. You've never really covered them because you haven't really dealt with negative values, so they don't matter to you. There's a rule for if the signs are the same, and then there's a second rule for if the signs are different. And we can rewrite all our subtraction problems as addition, which I said. The reason we do that is there is no such thing as rules of subtraction. They don't exist. There is no rules of subtraction. Instead, you would convert your subtraction to addition and then apply the appropriate rule of addition. If the signs are the same, what do I do? If the signs are different, what do I do? So with adding and subtracting, it's really all about adding. 2 rules here. Again, I'll give you the first rule today. If I had more time, I'd give you both the rules today, but the second rule is more complex. So here's our rule. Rule for addition when...
Mustard and ketchup?
I don't really need one because I got a big... Well, I'll take a little bit.
Mustard and ketchup on your
Yeah,
hamburger?
that's fine. Rules for addition when the signs are the same. And when I say same signs, what I'm talking about here is if I create a little problem, I'm saying plus 2 plus a positive 3, or a negative 4 plus a negative 2. In this case here, I'm just adding 2 numbers, and it's all about the sign. That's adding a positive to a positive. And this one here, I'm adding a negative to a negative. So the rule's the same for both of these here. Okay. So rule for addition when the signs are the same. And I'm not going to, next year we're going to expand upon it. It's officially the absolute values, but we haven't really covered what absolute values are at this point. So I'm going to say add the values together as if the numbers were or are positive. Then carry the sign to your final answer. That's a fair enough definition for us right now here. So what we're going to do, and we're going to solve both of these problems here in just a second. What?
Can you go up, please?
Yep,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So we're going to solve the two example problems here in just a second, and we're going to apply this rule and see how it kind of works for us here. But this is the first of the rules, and this rule is when we're adding if the signs are the same. And what we're going to do is, regardless if it's two positives or two negatives, we're just going to add the numbers together. And then if it's two positives, that our final answer will be positive. If it's two negatives, our final answer is going to be a negative. And I'll show you how that works with a number line too. Well, thank you, dear. That looks good. You put it next to my big sub there. All right, that looks good. I'll eat that at some point here. So let's look back at the first problem I presented here. I said a positive 2 plus a positive 3. And the signs are the same, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add the numbers together. What's 2 plus 3?
5.
2 plus 3 is 5. And then, it's a two-step process. Then, consider, is it going to be a positive 5 or negative 5? And in this case, it is going to be a positive 5 because whatever the sign was that was the same comes with me to the final answer. And again, we know 2 plus 3 is 5, but let's look at this one here. A negative 4 plus a negative 2. Once again, I recognize that the signs are the same. I'm adding a negative to another negative value. So what I'm going to ask myself here is, what's 4 plus 2? 6. And the two signs had which sign in front of them?
Negative.
A negative. So what that means is that negative sign comes with me. My final answer is negative 6.
For subtracting your add.
Huh? Add the values together as if the numbers were or are. In this case, they already are positive, but pretend this is just 4 plus 2. That's the first step here. Add the values together as if they are positive numbers. So I say, what's 4 plus 2? 4 plus 2 is 6. Then, step 2, look at the sign. If it was two positives, you carry that positive to your final answer. If it was two negatives, you carry that negative to your final answer. So I'm going to show it to you one other way here with a number line. And they talk about, looking at page 454 here, they have these first four problems that say write an addition sentence for the number line. Okay? So I'm going to do number 1 here. And what they have is they kind of have this arrow that goes here. And then they have another arrow that goes to there. Okay. And again, you may not have number lines. If you need more number lines, I have more number lines here for you. You'll have 2 questions in the homework. If you just want to watch and kind of sponge this up, you don't necessarily need to write this when I'm writing down here, but I'm showing you kind of how this works here. So what they say is write the addition sentence for what's going on here. And if you struggle with some of this stuff or get a little confused, we'll use our number line for adding different signs to how that works too. But basically, I start at 0 here, and I've headed up to -1. That's kind of where I start this problem here at -1, right? Do you agree with that? Yeah. -1. Now, I end up at a -4. This is where I end, this is where I start. So the arrow points to where I start. Here's my start right here, and here's my ending right there. So from -1, how many spots did I jump to get to -4? I jumped 1, 2, I jumped 3 spots, right? But when I'm talking about the negatives here, again, when you're talking about negative values, move left for negative, move right for positive. And I'll show it to you with some positive ones too here. So, matter of fact, if I do that, if I started this way and I went over to here, right? And then let's just say I went up to here. So where did I start? Well, no, I started here. I started at 2, or a positive 2. Where did I finish? At positive 7. That's where I ended up there. How many jumps did it take me to get from 2 to 7? How many?
6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically, I added 5 more jumps, right? I started here at 2. There's where I began the whole thing here. I ended up here, and if I'm at 2 and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more spots to the right, because when I move right for positive numbers, well, then I end up at positive 7. Yes? So if I had my negative value here, and I started at negative 1, and I moved 3 more spots to the left, well, basically, I added a negative 3. Because whenever I have negative numbers, I move that many spots to the left. This negative 3 tells me to move 3 spots to the left. This is where I started. Now it's telling me where I start, and then what do? I'm moving. Where am I moving? 3 spots. Which way am I moving? To the left. Or I'm getting smaller, right? So I can count it out here using my number line. This is where I started. There's my start. There's my end. And this is how many spots I've moved. And which way did I moved 3 spots, 1, 2, 3. But when I see this negative thing, when I see negative, negative means move left. I get smaller, essentially, here. When I add another negative number in, I'm basically adding something that's going even smaller in here. That makes sense a little bit here? Might be a little more complicated. I'm trying to just give you a second verbal way. Like solving these here, it's probably not too hard to do here. But so you can at least kind of understand how does this work with negative values here. And again, I'll come back to this tomorrow. Like if I had a negative 1 plus a positive 3, again, I'm starting here. But if I'm adding a positive 3, which way am I going to move? Which way?
This way, and it's going to be positive 2 is going to be the answer.
Right, positive 2. If again, just saying, say I had negative 3 plus a positive 3. So I'm still starting over here. And I'm still moving 3 spots. But instead of moving to the left, I'd move 1, 2, 3 spots to the right. Because anytime I have a positive, I move to the right. Anytime I have a negative, I move to the left. And negative 1 plus a positive 3 would give me a final answer of positive 2. And again, we'll cover that tomorrow, but I'm just trying to show you here that if I add a negative, I move that way. I get smaller, moving to the left here. And I can count them off on a number line. How many spots did I move? Every single one of these, I start at 5, I add 2. So I start at 5 here. Again, I'm just going to draw it this way. So there's where I start, right? Looking at number 5. If I add 2, then I go, okay, 1, 2. Where did I end up? At positive 7. Where did I start? What did I add? Where do I end up? If I look at number, some of these are a little too big. If I just make up another one, negative 4 plus negative 3. Where did I start? Right there. I'm moving 3 spots. Which way am I moving? To the left. So I count it out. A 1, a 2, a 3. Where did I end up? At negative 7. What do you think?
Looks too hard.
It takes a little getting used to with these negative numbers here, but whenever we're adding a negative, we're going to be moving, count out how many spots you go and move to the left on your number line here. Whenever we're adding a positive, same deal, we can count up the number of spots and move that same amount of spots to the right. So number 2, if I wrote out the addition problem that's being represented here, where do I start this problem, number 2? Where do I begin? Where do I begin?
So you start at the 2,
Yep,
and then move 2.
and then I move 2 more, which means I end up at,
Positive 4.
right. So if I wrote out the addition sentence here for number 2, what I'm writing out here is where did I start? That was well explained, Michaela. Good, really good stuff there, by the way. I started out at 2, or you can call it positive 2 if you want. How many spots did I move? I moved 2. Which way did I move? To the right. When I move to the right, I'm talking about adding a positive. And then where did I end up? I started at 2 spots over. I moved 2 more spots over. Where did I end up? At positive 4. This one here, they don't have a second arrow, so they're assuming we're starting at 0 in this case here. So what did I add to 0? You can't see it there, right there. I started at 0. What did I add to 0, Stella? I moved 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. Which way did I move? To the left, which means I added a positive or negative value. A negative value. Whenever I'm moving to the left, I'm adding a negative value. I'm adding something smaller. So for number 3, where did I start? At 0. I ended up at negative 4, but how many spots did I move? 1, 2, 3, 4. And I moved to the left. Where did I end up then after all that? At negative 4. Like that. That's how it would be. Question?
The book is blurry.
Yep, that's fine. I'll pull it out here.
That's what I'm saying.
So, let's look at a few over here. And again, we can use our general what we know rules here to make this work here. So, you can use your number line if it helps you here. A lot of these, though, they're going to go beyond the number line there. So you'll be better off recognizing the signs and then applying the rule of addition. So, number 9 says negative 12 plus a negative 3. So where am I starting this thing? What number? Negative 12. Okay? And now I'm at negative 12. How many spots am I moving from negative 12? 3. Which way am I going? To the left. So I can count them off. I'm at negative 12. Just pretend this is 12 here. 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay? So here's negative 12. If I move 3 spots, 1, 2, and 3. Where did I end up? Uriah.
Yeah.
Where did-
15.
At negative 15. Right. And you can see how that worked there, because I'm adding a negative. Whenever I add a negative, I move to the left. I move to the left. Yes? Why don't you guys try a couple here? Number 14. How about number 11, 13, and 15, I suppose, for the moment here.
Thank you.
Try 11, 13, and 15. Negative 4 plus negative 11. 0 plus positive 8. Negative 10 plus 0.
And this lady,
Yep, I'm going in just a moment. You know
you only have
what's happening. I got you. That'll be a cold burger today for me. It's okay.
I can eat it.
Thanks.
How is that?
All right. So, all this number line stuff here is, again, I'm trying to give you that visual thing here. Will we always use the number line? We will not. No, we will not. But I at least want to give you that reference. And can you use the number line to help you? Sure, absolutely. If you want more number lines, I got a whole pile of them right here. Feel free to take a couple for yourself. If you find that they're helping you, if you feel you don't need it, that's cool too. But ultimately, it should come back to where we started this thing here. If the signs are the same, I should add the values together and carry the sign when it gets down to solving these things here. So number 11, what would I come up with for a final answer? George?
15.
Not
Oh,
15.
no, negative 15.
Negative 15. I see the signs are the same, so all I see at the moment here is 4 plus 11. I'm just thinking positive 4 plus positive 11 is positive 15. Then the second thing I look at is my signs. I go, up, same sign negatives. That means that negative needs to come with into that final answer too. Just like positive 4 plus positive 11 is positive 15, negative 4 plus negative 11 is negative 15. 13, what do you think? Anybody? 8.
Positive 8.
Adding 0 to anything doesn't change its value. 15, what do you think?
Negative 10.
Negative 10, right. Last thing we'll look at here, and I can practice this in study hall with you, is down here. Again, we see all the signs are the same here. So the same general rule is going to apply. Why don't you just try 22 and 23? They don't really need brackets for any of these here. Not even really sure why they felt it necessary to put them in there, because the order we add stuff doesn't matter. So basically I'm adding 3 numbers together here that are all the same sign. And again, I can cover this a little more in study hall if you're so inclined here. But since all the signs are the same, the rule doesn't change. It's just instead of adding 2 numbers together, well, now I add 3 numbers together. And once again, I will continue to carry the sign over. So number 22, anybody? What's my final answer?
15.
Right. 3 plus 7 is 10. Positive 10 plus positive 5, positive 15. What about 23?
Negative 17.
Negative 17 is right. Negative 2 plus negative 9 is negative 11. Negative 11 plus negative 6, we've never changed any signs at all, is negative 17. Right. Okay. Yep, I'm a moment or two late. So, anyway, if you want to work on homework now, not the worst idea while you're out in the cafeteria. If you want to come to the church with me, just sit in the back. Basically got about 8 minutes here to kill.
22.